Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Inside KISD Student Produced News. I'm Jaylani Farman-Sarosa.
And I'm Elio Santiago. Thank you for joining us. On this week's episode, we'll be highlighting video game designer teacher Mr. Gonzalez and what's up with the KCC students about their fall break.
We'll also talk about events such as Willow Springs Students Meeting and Awareness Event at Career Center. All this and more on Inside KISD. On October 6th, the Killeen ISD Interim Superintendent visited Willow Springs Elementary School. Interim Superintendent King Davis spent time with the school's communities and school's site director Cinnamon Clay to talk with selected 4th and 5th graders for almost an hour. The students shared their fears, dislikes, and even suggestions on what they would like to change. These remarks varied from their likes such as learning new things, meeting new people, and kindness from school staff members, to their dislikes such as bullying, students disrespecting teachers, and fighting. Davis thanked the honest assessments given from the students, and he says, as adults, we need to be able to hear and receive when our scholars have concerns. It was really refreshing to hear from our students.
AV student Jaden Bradley introduces video game teacher design Mr. Gonzalez and his story.
The reason why I became a teacher was to be able to go ahead and give much needed knowledge in this content area that I have had expertise in. The reason why I became a video game design teacher specifically is I have a passion for programming, and if you're going to teach something, you should have an ample amount of passion for it. The main focus of my class is to focus on independent programming, as in they eventually, through their course into the program, they're able to independently program, and the reason for that is so that they can sit for the Unity Certified User Programmer certification, where that displays to their future employer that they can program in the machine language of C# without anybody holding their hand. So Unity is a game development software, and it is the medium that we use to teach C# here on campus. And the reason for that is because it is a lot more palatable for students to actually see things moving and interact with things using object-oriented programming than it is for maybe, say, .NET applications that are significantly more boring. This is something that can engage and grab their attention so they can actually meaningfully learn the language. The information that I would give to a student wanting to become a teacher is to do so knowing that a good majority of the people involved will not appreciate your efforts, but those that do truly do make it worth it. And that is the reason why is because you get to see them grow into the best versions of themselves, and you get to be part of that process. The good impact that I can have on these students before they go off into the real world after their 12th grade year, and to become part of that process.
Career Center cosmetology students and a variety of medical-oriented health occupants, Students of America, student practiced general health screenings. They learned from nurses and survivors about the treatments and preventions of cancer. The host of students provided glucose and blood pressure checks for the participants, and cosmetology students provided manicures.
Fall break is here, and hey, hit the halls to see what is everyone up to.
All right, so during fall break, I will be relaxing and some much needed time off. I also have some games to attend because my son plays fall baseball, travel baseball, and my daughter plays travel softball, so I will be busy at their tournaments. Other than that, I will just be relaxing and enjoy my time off.
For fall break, I'm going to visit the University of Houston so I can decide if I want to go there or not.
I'm gonna be making money and working a job and working out, and that's it.
I'm gonna start my SoundCloud rap career.
I'm just gonna be working, probably hitting the gym, and being with Makai.
Well, for some countries, the propaganda machine is run directly by the government with regards to workers, officials, the police department, the army, so it's very much vital with regards to getting the word out. Propaganda is an interesting concept. I studied that in college, particularly about Napoleon and the Napoleonic Wars. There was so much anti and pro stuff going around that people to this day still think Napoleon is shorter than he actually was due to propaganda. I don't believe it usually has a negative intent because the reactionary for that is to be a positive. Now, you may not agree with what that positive is. Clean up the streets, say no to drugs, support your law enforcement, but the idea is to have a positive impact on one side. Probably the war bond effort for World War II, because every actor that I can think of, from Basil Rathbone playing Sherlock Holmes, got up on the screen during this era of Hollywood, during the war, for you to support the war effort by donating money and buying these war bonds. I mean, that's kind of what got me into radio, was watching all these old-timey commercials about this sort of thing. Do your part, Timmy, support the can drive. You know, make sure that the GIs overseas are getting all the things they need. That's why we're growing victory gardens. It was all about a propaganda machine in place to be able to be successful to combat the Nazis and the evils of World War II. I think one of the most successful campaigns. And I think people got behind it. That's why I deem success is more of a getting behind the initiative of this particular propaganda machine. All tools can be used for evil or nefarious purposes. It's one of these weird double-edged swords that we encounter throughout historical events. Most technologies or advancements are made through war, even if they're peaceful ones through medical technology or the microwave oven through technologies that were developed as a part of weapons. So it's one of these things where it is simultaneously both and simultaneously neither.
200 volunteers were chosen, and every man had a reason for going. There were no planes to support them, no ships, no big guns, nothing but Yankee grit and deathless courage.
But at the end of the day, I mean, propaganda is a government-sanctioned bit of media through newsletters, television, radio to support a cause of some kind, and whether or not you agree with that is a whole different matter.
And now, over to Brandon Smith in the KISD Sports Room to talk about last Friday's games.
Thank you, Elio. I'm Brandon Smith, and this is your KISD Sports Room update. It was a rough night last Thursday, to say the least. The Chaparral Bobcats practiced well and hard and had a lot of anticipation leading up to this game, but unfortunately for them, it was a rout to a 56-7 win for the Georgetown Eagles. Georgetown ended up jumping out to a huge 28-0 lead in the first quarter and never looked back. Eagles quarterback Caleb McDougall had a night with 4 passing touchdowns and 265 yards through the air. Running back Jet Walker had 153 rushing yards, and was a nightmare for the Bobcats defense. Meanwhile, the Bobcats superstar running back had 77 rushing yards and scored the only touchdown for the Bobcats, and that was the only touchdown they would have during the game. The O-line did end up struggling to protect Bryson Coleman, as they gave up 3 sacks and 7 tackles for a loss, which put the Bobcats behind the sticks. Despite the struggles, Bryson Coleman still managed to gut it out and grind for 19 rushes and 67 yards. Chaparral will look to end a 3-game skid at Leander tonight, who is also 2-3, and which should be a competitive game.
That's a look at the sports news. And thank you for watching Inside KISD student-produced television. For our crew backstage and all of us here at Career Center, I'm Jaylani Farman-Sarosa.
And I'm Elio Santiago. We'll see you next time on Inside KISD.